parent isn't the easiest job in the world, and it's even more difficult if you have a strong-willed child. Joining us now is Dr. Rob Robinson, Clinical Director of Family Care Counseling Associates in Wilbraham, to help us understand how to deal with these types of kids. Thank you for being here with us.
Thanks for having me back.
And you say, we're going to start right off. The first thing you say is that parents should be in charge, not the kids.
Right. So to start with, you have to have the parents in the center of the family, not the kids. A lot of parents, I think, are overjoyed with having children, obviously, but such a big deal is made of them sometimes that they install the kids at the center of the family rather than the adults, and the adults have to spend as much time taking care of their relationship and charging their own batteries as in terms of just giving the kids everything that they want. So it's important for the adults to be at the center of the family, not the children, so that the parents are calling the shots and having the children listen to them.
Because if the kids think they're the center of the family when they go out in the world, when they go to school or different things like that, it can still affect them.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, sometimes if the kids are really installed at the center of the family, not that they're not important, obviously, but they come out of that situation really feeling like they're more important than other people in the world, and they have to know where they fit into in the grand scheme of things.
And to help this move along, you say, don't be weak communicating.
Right. So the next step is making sure that when you have something to say to the kids, you do it kindly but firmly. You have to have the child know that you mean business. If parents are wishy-washy in their communication, kids know that water can flow in the path of least resistance, and they know who to take advantage of if you're not firm in your communication, asking them to do things. Like, for example, when it's time to go to bed, you don't say, "Can you please go to bed?" It's time to go to bed. Let's get going.
Because if you say it in that wishy-washy way, they almost feel like they can control you and like sort of walk over you.
Exactly. That's exactly what happens. And kids really do know which parent is easier to deal with and who they can take advantage of. So both people have to be on the same page in terms of meaning business.
Being on the same page is so important.
Absolutely.
And that next step we have is make sure the kids have chores and they're contributing to the family.
Right. So really any child over the age of 5 should probably have about 30 minutes of chores a day. And that doesn't mean you punch in at a certain time and punch out, but it means through the course of the day, you know, you're helping, you know, set the table, load the dishwasher, clean the table up after dinner, things like that, because the goal in parenting is helping kids, you know, out of our lives and into their own lives eventually, and helping them create a sense of independence. If they have no chores to do, by the time they leave the house, they've never done chores, it's really difficult for them to be able to live on their own and take care of things. Kids need to know how to cook, how to clean, how to iron, how to do a load of laundry, and when they're overly dependent on parents to act as servants their whole life, they're not equipped with these skills when they leave.
And the next thing you say is misbehavior should have consequences,
yes,
and you need to be consistent with those
right.
consequences.
Those are two very important C's, consequences and consistency. The consequences really should kind of tie into the act of the misbehavior. So if they're misbehaving at the dinner table, you don't keep asking them, can you knock it off? You ask them to leave. And the consistency piece means that there's no deals and no second chances. The more inconsistent parents are, it invites more misbehavior because kids are going to continue to misbehave until they see where the consequences actually kick in. So by not being consistent, parents are actually cooperating with misbehavior.
And you say you don't have to be mean, you just have to be firm.
Absolutely. You have to. It's not about being mean. You can be very kind, but you have to be firm. And really, when parents are consistent, kids know exactly what's going to happen once the parent says, "Hey, knock it off." And they absolutely can depend on the parent following through with the consequence, and those kids tend to be much better behaved.
And being firm, that brings us to our next tip, and it's learn to say N-O.
Yes. John Roseman wrote a terrific book called The 6-Point Plan for Raising Happy, Healthy Kids. And Roseman says saying no is like giving kids a daily dose of vitamin N. and really, the only way children can learn to manage frustration, which is an important tool in life, is hearing the word no. So the motto is you give kids everything they need, but very little of what they simply want. And learning to be able to manage that kind of frustration then teaches them how to be able to deal with some of the limitations that you sometimes have when you're dealing with life.
Teaching them to say no actually helps them become better people in the long run.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for being here with us and giving us these tips on how to deal with the strong-willed child.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate it.
Great to see you.